Good evening. This evening, let's discuss where do you go here on Common Sense. Where do you go when you feel ill? You've broken a bone, you've cut yourself. You go to the doctor. Where do you go when you need legal advice or help with something legal? You go to a lawyer. But what's more important? Where do you go when you need life's help? Help with your life. You can go to friends. Most of the time, they'll just tell you what you want to hear, not what you need to hear. The picture behind me is a rendition of the first place that people would gather as a matter of worshiping God, really. But what they did was they would bring animals and sacrifice them to God for the sins that they had committed. And once all the sacrificing was done, I can imagine there was great joy and rejoicing that God was with them again because their sins had been forgiven them. Now, there are times that God says stuff and we don't want to listen. In fact, Moses' sons, I believe it was, were instructed at the very first sacrifice not to have incense at this sacrifice. They brought incense out anyway. God destroyed them right then and there. They died right there. Because God told them, instructed, no incense. They went against God's will. And so God destroyed them. To be mean? No. To make his point? Yes. When God tells you to do something, he's not necessarily going to kill you. However, you not following God's instruction, you might kill yourself or drive yourself into a place of depression, sadness, unhealthy lifestyle, and such. So where do you go when you need help with life? Well, that is a rendition of the first. Let's go here. Wow, that's nice. That is humongous. Is that where you go? Because it's a really nice building? And there's probably a whole lot of people that go there? No, I wouldn't. And my opinion is, what they do in a building like this, in a cathedral, is basically the entire thing is nothing but a rehearsed ceremony. And they'll have men walking down with poles with flags on it and banners, and somebody walking down the aisle with an incense pot, swinging it back and forth, and some guy will get up behind a podium and start talking in Latin, and nobody understands a word that's going on. Is that where you go? Of course, there's so many people in there, you don't know anybody in there. You just go there. Why? Is it so the people will see you and say, oh, he goes to that giant church. He must be something special. Look at me, look at me. I wouldn't go there. That that cathedral holds way too many people. There's no way you can get familiar with enough of the people in there. In fact, I would shy away from most of the people because I would have no idea who they are. You just showed up for the pomp and circumstance, the show, to watch these guys do this thing, to listen to a choir sing as though they're singing at a funeral. Not me. Let's do this. Let's go somewhere else. How about here? Yes, that's where I would go. Why? That's an old run-down dump with an air conditioner sticking out the window. Yes, it's small. There's an old saying that goes, Sunday go to meeting. Now, back in the day, the people of this country, and others I would suppose, but of this country, they didn't have much. Everything that they had, they basically had to build it, make it, sew it, chop it, or whatever themselves. And so it was tough. They had to go through winters by keeping the fireplace going. They had to go out and cut wood and cut wood and cut wood. And they didn't have chainsaws. They used axes and hatchets, machetes, whatever they could find. And they had to cut wood. But the one reprieve that they had all week long was to go to the church. Well, why was that so special? Well, that was special because Jim could talk to Frank and say, you know, I've got this cow that's milking really good, but I can't use all the milk. But I could use some eggs every once in a while. And so Frank would say, well, you know what? I've got all these chickens and I've always got a few extra eggs. So I can trade you some eggs for the chicken or for the milk. And so every Sunday, Jim and Frank bring their eggs and their milk and they trade it at meeting. Okay, that's one aspect of it. But there's also the aspect of the group together, the church, would possibly have supper together so that everyone could join in having something to eat. Because back then, just eating was a chore. You had to cut the wood. You had to make sure the fire was going. You had to mix all the ingredients together if you were going to have bread or whatever. And you had to cook the meat. And the whole thing you had to do by hand. There was no sticking it in a microwave. And the women usually made big meals because their husbands were out plowing the fields, cutting wood mostly, and doing things like that, hunting, keeping the family going. And so the church became a focal point. When somebody needed something, somebody else would sound off. Hey, I can help you with that. I can help you with that. Now, see, I'm bringing this up now because I'm seeing evil everywhere. If you watched any of the House hearings or the Senate hearings, the Democrat Party is straying far, far away from being the Democrat Party. They are swaying toward evil, big time evil. They don't want us to be responsible for us like they do at small churches. They help one another. They don't count on the government to say, oh, well, no, you need to do this. You need to have this, and that's all you get. No. In the small church, as a family, they know, oh, you need this. You need that. We can help you with this or that. Why? Why? Because it's a tightly knit family. Everyone knows each other. Everyone knows, oh, well, he has a cough. We don't know what it's from, but he has a cough. It's not a cold because he's had it for quite a while. And so we try to help him with his cough. He doesn't do it at church all the time, but he does have a cough. This one has that. That one has that. And it's a tightly knit family. They help each other. Mostly, their spirits are bound in friendship. And that is very important because Jesus said, where there are two or more gathered together in my name, there will I be also. I've been watching the Senate hearings, and they have a chaplain say a prayer. He's not saying a prayer. He's reading words off of a card. They're literally meaningless to God. Literally. If you're not praying from the heart and the spirit, you're not praying to God. I don't even think he's listening to you. Because you're not giving him that part of you that he wants. Your love. And your love comes from your spirit. God feeds love to your spirit. And so we give love back to God through our spirit. And so if you're going to stand there and read off of a recipe card what you call a prayer, you're not. You're just reading words. And that's why the smaller church is more important than the large church. And there are pastors, they call themselves that. I call them con artists. All they want is the money. And all they are doing is using the Bible as their basis to make money. God doesn't want that. But he's not going to stop it. He's not. Because God is the final judge. He will judge you in the end. And if you're going to be judged in the end, do you think God would be impressed with this? Well, I watched them do it every week. They walked up and down with the poles and the flags and the incense, and the guy said some words. I don't know what he said. And then when I did something wrong, I went to confession and I confessed it to some guy in a box that I don't know who he was or what he could do. And he told me to go do Hail Marys or whatever it was to do. And I do my rosary every day. I can tell you what every bead means. Who cares? Nowhere in the Bible does it say to do any of that. In the Bible, it says, those who believe in Jesus. Get it? Believe in Jesus. Now you can say, oh, well, I believe in Jesus. And I go to this giant cathedral every Sunday to show that I believe in Jesus. Really. You know what? I go to this little church because there's a greater building of that faith, that belief in Jesus. The people can help me because they know me. They see me. They can hold me accountable. They can say, you know, what you were doing Friday afternoon, that wasn't exactly reflective of what we would see in Jesus. And one can sit and ponder and say, you know what? You're right. You're right. I wasn't behaving in such a way that is Christian. So I will change my behavior. I will think about it. I will look at it and change it. But then we are also responsible to hold others responsible for their actions. And so it goes around and around. The love builds, the faith builds, our lives build. We're not cutting each other down. We're not criticizing each other just for the sake of criticizing them. We're not being holier than thou, but we are building each other up. We are helping each other along in life so that we have good lives. We can't do it alone. We need Jesus in our lives to help us along. If you don't know Jesus, or you say you know Jesus but you don't, you're not living a good life. You're not living life to its maximum potential. Life is great. It's awesome. It really is. Let go of your addictions. Let go of the idea that you know everything. Let go of the idea that money can buy you everything. Let go. Let Jesus help you. By letting Jesus help you, that means find others that are of the same spirit, those that follow Jesus, and ask them, can you help me? I want to be part of your family because you live lives of peace, joy, hope, faith, and you're strong. And we need to be strong in these days of evil. That's all I have for now. I ask that you stay in touch with God. Every once in a while, just sit down and talk to Him and listen. He will talk to you. I ask that you pray for the president of this country, that God will protect him. I ask that you pray for those who are military and police, first responders and such, that God will protect them and bring them home in one piece to their families and loved ones. I thank you for watching. I'm William Ferguson, and this is Common Sense.